The movie starts with a woman named Violet, who is lying on the ground, wounded and bleeding. She tries to get up, but at that same moment, her husband comes there and kicks her mercilessly. Then he points a gun at her, but as soon as he sees the gun in her hand, he tells her to shoot him. A few years later, Violet's life has improved. Now she helps women affected by domestic abuse as a therapist. This morning, Violet gets a message from a man named Henry, who invites her to go out. At the same time, a man comes who pretends to be an employee of an electric company and says that he has to check the meter. Violet doesn't think much and allows him to come inside. The scene of the evening is shown, where we see that Violet is playing with her son, whose name is Toby. After a while, her sister Jen comes home so that she can take care of Toby while Violet is ready to go on her date. After getting ready well, Violet reminds her sister that Toby has to be put to sleep at exactly 8 o'clock at night. She also tells her that she will keep an eye on him through CCTV. She soon reaches a luxurious restaurant, which is located on a very high floor. When she is in the lift, Henry's message comes that he will be 10 minutes late. He says that Violet should wait for him at the bar. Violet goes to the bar and meets a friendly bartender there. She orders a drink and confesses that she is a little nervous because this is her first date with that person. After a few moments, an old man suddenly comes to her, whose name is Richard, who mistakenly thinks of her as his date. Violet explains that she is not that girl. The old man apologizes and tells her that he is waiting for a blind date. After this, the two wish for each other's successful dates. Suddenly, a man named Phil comes and interrupts their conversation. He tries to flirt with Violet, but the bartender immediately tells him that Violet has come here on a date. That man goes away from there embarrassed. The bartender apologizes to Violet. He tells her that he is a pianist who flirts with everyone. At this moment, Richard's blind date comes, and they both go to their table. Then Violet messages her sister, when suddenly a random meme comes to her phone from the app named Digidrop. Violet looks around and sees that a lot of people are busy on their phones, so she thinks who must have sent this meme. In the meantime, Henry comes and praises the beauty of Violet. They both go to their special table, from where you can see the beautiful view of the city. Henry, who is a photographer, apologizes for bringing his bag with him because he could not take the risk of leaving his camera in the car. After this, Henry takes out a small hockey puck from his pocket. He says that this is a gift for Toby. Violet is very impressed with him and thanks him. At this moment, a waiter comes, whose name is Matt. He takes a drink order from him and then goes back. Suddenly, Violet gets another Digidrop meme. This time it warns her not to ignore this message. Violet shows this meme to Henry. They both look around to find out who could have done this. It doesn't take long for Violet to get another message from the dropper. In it, she is instructed to check the security cameras of her house. Violet immediately checks the camera and sees Toby and Jen in the bedroom. Her heart stops when she sees a masked man holding a gun. He is staring at the camera in the living room. Henry immediately asks what happened, but Violet gets another message in which she is told to keep her mouth shut. Violet panics and makes an excuse that she is going to the bathroom. She tries to call 911, but she gets another message that her phone has been cloned. They can see her every move. If she goes out of the restaurant, her son will be killed. When Violet reaches the washroom, she goes near some girls and tries to ask for help, but she gets another message that she should not ask for help from anyone. Poor Violet then asks for eyeliner from a girl and tries to write "help" on her palm. Unfortunately, the girls do not understand her gesture and just go out of the washroom. Violet, who is scared, then checks the bathroom. Soon she sees a recording device under the sink, which shocks her. After this, Violet goes back to her table, where Henry feels her worry. But she quickly explains that she is scared only because she and Toby never stayed away from each other, especially after her husband's death. At the same time, she sees a tapping device on the lamp on the table. When she realizes that the dropper is listening to her, a wave of fear runs through her body. Violet tells Henry that she is afraid of heights. She suggests going to the other table. He immediately agrees and calls the waiter Matt to change the table. But at the same time, Violet gets another message from the dropper. It says that if she changes the table, Toby will die in a minute. Without any other choice, Violet gets scared and advises him to go back to his old table. She says he came especially for that scene. Both Henry and Matt get confused, but they listen to her. After a while, Matt comes to their table and asks if they are ready to order. Violet secretly asks the dropper what he wants. He orders her to get an SD card from Henry's camera. How she gets it is up to her. Violet immediately takes off her watch and puts it in her purse, while Henry is busy with something else. When Matt leaves from there, Violet makes an excuse about losing her watch. She tells Henry to go and ask the hostess if she has found the watch somewhere. Henry agrees again and leaves from there. As soon as he leaves, Violet quickly takes out the camera from his bag. Violet gets scared when she sees many pictures of suspicious people with the city mayor in the camera. At the same time, she also sees some financial statements that show corruption and fraud. Violet immediately takes out the SD card and comes back to her seat. Just when Henry comes back, Henry tells her that the hostess does not know anything about his watch. At the same time, the dropper orders Violet to go to the bathroom immediately. That's why she tells Henry that maybe she left her watch in the bathroom. She goes there. As soon as she reaches inside, she gets another message that she should break the SD card and flush it. Violet, who is helpless to protect her son, breaks the SD card, obeying the order. She begs the dropper to get that person out of her house. But he answers coldly that Violet's work is not over yet. He orders her to check the toilet dispenser. Without any other choice, she opens the box and sees a closed liquid in a bottle inside. She is shocked when the dropper tells her to put this liquid in Henry's drink and kill him. He also says that this will not be a painful death and Henry will die immediately. Violet is scared and says that she cannot kill anyone. But the dropper answers coldly that she can do it, because she has killed a person before. The frightened Violet comes out of the bathroom and her mind is confused about who this dropper can be. She goes back to her table where Henry is preparing to get up. He thinks that Violet is not interested in him. He says that they can do all this some other day. After paying the bill, he starts going from there. But Violet holds his hand helplessly to stop him. She tells him to stop and finally Henry agrees. At the same moment, she sees that Richard's date goes out of the restaurant by calling him a liar. After this, Henry and Violet come back to their seats. The dropper puts pressure on her again to complete her work. At the same time, Matt comes to take the order and Phil starts playing the piano. At the same time, Violet gets an idea and says that she wants to tip the pianist. She takes out her lipstick and writes hostages and her address on a $20 note. She gives this note to Phil. After a while, Matt gives the money to Phil. Violet turns to Henry and asks him about his job. We come to know that Henry was the press photographer of the mayor for the last 5 years. She asks him more and more if the mayor is a good man. But Henry gives a vague answer and doesn't explain anything. Meanwhile, Phil picks up the tip money and starts leaving from there. Soon, Phil sees the message left by Violet and is horrified. Violet sees that he is calling someone, but terrified, Phil immediately returns to the piano and drinks a cocktail to control himself. Meanwhile, Matt returns with food and Violet starts eating salad. She is shocked when she finds her $20 note hidden in the plate. At the same time, she gets a message from the dropper that she has ruined everything. Violet apologizes, but it's too late, because we see that Phil falls to the ground after drinking a poisonous drink. Terrified, Violet immediately checks the cameras of her house. She sees that the masked man makes Jen unconscious and then locks Toby in a room. The dropper again tells Violet to complete her work. There, Phil gets up with difficulty and himself goes towards the elevator. But at this moment, the dropper says that Phil will not come out of the lobby alive. Violet gets more nervous, but she puts a smile on her face and pretends that everything is normal. She tells Henry that there should be some tequila to lighten the mood. She goes to the bar, but soon her purse falls and Henry sees her watch. Upon reaching the bar, Violet immediately orders 2 shots of tequila. She tries to put poison in one of them, but the dropper immediately orders her to go to the table. When Violet comes back to her seat, Henry gives her her watch and says that it fell from her purse. He looks angry because Violet is looking at the restaurant again and looks restless. He insists that she tell the truth and says that if there is any problem, he can help. At the same time, Violet gets a flashback. The night she tried to shoot her husband, but she couldn't do it. Little Toby saw all this and was crying loudly. Then her husband suddenly turned the gun towards Toby. The flashback ends in the middle. Violet tells Henry this shocking incident and says that she thinks she is a bad mother because she stayed with her cruel husband even after Toby's birth. During this time, Toby saw everything that a child should never see. Feeling sad, Henry also shares that he was also in such a situation at one time, because the person he trusted the most turned out to be a very bad person. During this time, many good people were in pain, but he was not able to do anything. He gently says that her ex-husband did not take away his hope from her, because he is still alive. Hearing this, Violet smiles and says that Henry is a good person. She makes an excuse that she has forgotten to take the limes. She tells Henry to go to the bar again. Henry goes to the bar, and in that short moment, Violet adds poison to his drink. Soon Henry returns with the limes and tries to drink tequila. But Violet is not able to prepare herself to kill him, so she deliberately pours alcohol on him, which makes Henry put his glass down. When Henry goes to clean himself, Violet gets a message in which it is written that this was not a wise move. After a while, the same bartender comes to Violet and asks if everything is fine, because Violet is looking worried all night. The bartender thinks that maybe Violet's date has done something wrong and she offers to help, but Violet says that the problem is not Henry, but something else. On this, the bartender tells a shocking thing that Richard was staring at Violet all night. Although he was on a date with another woman, Violet, full of anger, goes to Richard with 2 shots of tequila, one of which is probably poison. She says that she is sorry that his date has left and offers him a drink, but Richard suddenly calls her by her name and refuses to take the drink. Surprised, Violet immediately says that she has never told him her name. When Richard realizes that his secret has been revealed, he tells her to sit down and then reveals that he is the dropper. After this, Richard says that he works for the mayor and his job is to kill Henry, who is actually an informant of the FBI. He further says that the message sent by Digidrop cannot be traced, which made it easier for him to give this work to Violet. When Violet asks why he chose her, Richard reveals that it was easy to trap her, because she has already killed a man. Violet insists that she did not kill her late husband, but Richard does not believe her. Then a sharp flashback shows that Violet's husband was about to shoot Toby, but as soon as he heard the police siren, he committed suicide. Richard accuses Violet of showing her cleverness for no reason, which resulted in killing Phil. He proudly says that he has a video in which Violet is seen mixing poison in Henry's drink. Now it is impossible to save her. Now the only way Violet has to save her son is to kill Henry. As soon as Henry arrives there, Violet introduces him to Richard by saying that they are old friends. She offers him a shot of tequila, which she apparently prepared by mixing poison. When Henry drinks it, Violet tells him to go back to his table and wait for her. Then she tells Richard that now that the work is done, his man should be ordered to leave his house. On this, the dropper, Richard, immediately orders the masked man to leave the house. Richard thinks he has won. That's why he happily starts eating his dessert. But Violet suddenly reveals to him that she actually mixed poison in Richard's dessert, not in Henry's drink. Angry, Richard puts a gun on Violet. But suddenly Henry comes and takes the bullet. There is a commotion in the restaurant and people start running in fear. Richard follows Violet and is about to shoot her when the bartender suddenly intervenes. Because of this, Richard's bullet hits the glass wall. Richard mercilessly stabs the bartender and immediately points a gun at Violet. That's when Violet sees the broken glass wall behind her. Richard orders the masked man to go home again and kill Toby. Then Violet uses the hockey puck that Henry had given her. She breaks the glass behind Richard. The pressure of the strong wind pulls Richard out and he falls down and dies. Violet grabs a tablecloth tightly, which gets stuck in something. Fortunately, the injured Henry comes to save Violet and pulls her back up. After this, Violet checks the cameras at home and sees that the masked man is moving towards her son's room. Violet immediately picks up the keys to Henry's car and then runs towards his car. She goes home quickly in the middle of the traffic. Jen comes to her senses and starts looking for Toby. There, the masked man catches Toby and tries to hurt him. But Jen stabs him in the leg and takes Toby out of danger. Both of them quickly lock themselves in a room and put the furniture in front of the door to create an obstacle. Despite this, the masked man breaks the door and comes inside and shoots Jen in the arm. He also shoots several bullets on the bed so that he can kill Toby. At that moment, Violet reaches home and the masked man hears her voice. He immediately runs downstairs, where Violet picks up a knife from the kitchen and gets ready for the fight. After a few moments, the masked man reaches the living room and Violet stabs him, but he easily gets hold of her and throws her to the other side of the room. At the same moment, he removes his mask and Violet is surprised to see that he is the same man who came from the electric company this morning. But before he kills Violet, Toby sends a remote-controlled toy car towards him, which has a gun. Violet immediately picks up the gun and shoots him, killing him. The mother and son hug each other in a moment of peace and emotion and cry. A scene is shown after a while, where Henry is recovering in the hospital. In the news, it is shown that the mayor's office is involved in a corruption scheme and a riot in the restaurant, and all the involved people have been arrested. After a while, Violet comes to meet Henry and thanks him for saving her life. Jen, who is admitted in the same hospital, meets Henry for the first time. Then Henry and Violet make a plan for a second date and the movie ends here.